So once again, you are highly welcome in the village of Albreda and Jufre. And basically, this store we talk of slavery and slave trade. And coming back to the history, slavery have started in Africa well before the coming of the Europeans. It was started by the Arabs. And then we have the Europeans coming from the early 14th centuries. And this village is called Albreda. And Albreda used to be a French base. This is why you can see the building there that was built here by the French around the 1600s. Okay, and the French are the ones that bring the stuffs like tobaccos, miros, alcohols, and they used to make a bartering system with the locals in that building you are seeing over there. Okay, and the pole that you see in there, that pole is called the Freedom Flag Pole, because during the abolition of the slave trade, there were some remaining slaves that were left in James Island, and the masters asked them to buy their freedom. Buying of your freedom means if any slave can swim from James Island to the mainland, and then you became a free slave. And in those days, Africans were not good in swimming, and most of them, they cannot do it. They all died. That's what we have in history. Okay, and this is about 3 nautical sea miles. And the cannon that you see over there, that cannon was brought here by the British Navy around 1810 to stop the illegal boats that want to take slaves from James Island to America. Okay, and that's why you have the statue.
Hi guys, hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm live at Albreda, and here we are. As you can hear from the horse's mouth, there is Albreda. So we are going to take a canoe and drive, and let's see what history got for us. Let's go. Thank you. Hi guys, so literally now we are on our way going to the Kunta Kinte Island itself. That's like an outer part of it, and that's where everything happens. So let's go and see what history keeps for us. I'm literally inside a boat. So guys, right now we're in the middle of the sea. I don't know how far this place is, but we're literally going smoothly. We're inside the boat. So I'm kind of scared, not scared, but anyway, I'm happy to get to know more about the Gambia. So stay tuned. Hi guys, so we are finally at Albreda. After a long journey, now we are here. You can see this is Albreda, but as you can see, the place is getting old and there's so many histories to be told. So I can't wait to hear them all, and let's go and see.
This island was first found by the Portuguese, and the Portuguese were the people that was using this island to go to the mainland, which is called Albreda and Jufre, to capture black men, women, and children, and bring them in this island to keep them in the dungeons. From there, they will transport them to America. And you can see these are the canoes that are here for this island. And these canoes are here to protect the island from the European, because they use these canoes to fight against the local men that want to come and rescue their fellow blacks in this island. And coming back to the history, this island is called the Voyage of No Return.
Wow.
In those days, as soon as they bring the slaves in this island, they will never get back to their various destinations. They will be as a slave in this island, and from there they will transport them to America, and that's where they will be sold in the plantations, and from there they will start making their trip back to Africa. And in West Africa, we have about 3 major islands where these Europeans used to go and take slaves. From there, they take them to America. One is Alminia Castle in Ghana, and the other one is called Gore Island in Senegal. The third one is called James Island in Gambia. These are the major islands that they used to pick slaves. There, they take them to America. And you can see this island used to be 6 times bigger than this. But it's because of now the erosion and the current of the water, which is the river, that is taking most part of this island.
Wow, that's bad.
And this island used to contain lots of slaves from the olden days.
Oh my
It
God.
takes about 600 slaves at once.
Wow.
And from here, we will be going inside to see the original dungeons.
Wow. That's nice. Kunta Kinte Island. Why was this island so important? So, guys, we're about to go inside, and finally, let's get to know more history because it's getting interesting. So, yeah, this is James Island. See what's that?
Right, so this shows you the second reconstruction of the island.
Wow.
This is not showing you the original size of James Island,
Wow.
because this island was reconstructed in different occasions. Used to have a powder machine explosion in a place called the Gunpowder Store.
Wow.
And you can see the island is full of dungeons. These are the dungeons that they used to keep the slaves.
Wow.
And these 2 places you are seeing here, these are called the cistern. Cistern basically mean where to have water, right? And these are the 4 side bastions of the island. These were control of guns like armory. Like when the locals want to come to the island to rescue their fellows, they can easily shoot them. Because in those days, Europeans, they have weapons, but the local people, they have only bow and arrows or cutlasses. And the gun is more faster than those things. Okay? So we are now getting inside of James Island, known as Kunta Kinte Island, because we don't use the name James Island anymore. We call it Kunta Kinte Island, because this is the island where they kept Kunta Kinte for a couple of weeks. From there, he was being transported to America. And from here, we'll be going to see the powder machine room. This is where they used to keep their guns, gunpowders, and mirrors. That's the building you are seeing here. And you see this building is very old now, right? This is where they keep the gunpowders and stuff like. And this is where the powder machine explosion happened. And 11 soldiers died from the British Navy that were in this island in the olden days. And when you come this way, you will see the cistern, right? And this side is called the bastions, the one I show you downstairs. These are the 4 side bastions in the island here for the control of the island, so that they can easily fight the local people.
Wow.
So this is the original cistern. This is where they kept water in the olden days for the slaves. These are the 2 places, right?
Wow. So this is where they kept the waters.
Yeah.
But
And
wait,
that water,
is the water good for drinking?
that water, they will give it to the slaves, and this water, I will tell you, is not good for drinking because it gets stagnant,
Wow.
very rusty. But they still use it to give it to the slaves, because in those days, most of the Africans, they fight with the slave masters. They never like to be a slave like that. So this is how they would like to keep them weak, because in those days, we are very strong Africans. So this is the way they can give them dirty waters or lack of food, just to keep them weak. And this is why I tell you, out of in the whole West Africa, about 20 million slaves have been captured. And out of that, 6 million lose their life because of the horrible condition they used to earn in the slave boats. And when you come this way, you will see the underground prison. All right. This place is called the underground prison. All right. And this underground prison, this is where they will kept most of the aggressive slaves, because there are some certain slaves that you know that they never like to be a slave, and they will keep about 20-25 people of those people here. And when it's time for them to have food, they just throw it through the window here, and they call it the survival of the fittest. They'll be scrambling for it. If you have, you eat. If you can't, you remain like that. And this is where they kept Kunta Kinte for a couple of weeks. From here, he was transported to America in a place called Maryland. That's where they sold him in the plantation, right? And from here, we're gonna see the slave yard. For the control of this here is called the slave yard. The slave yard means where the slave will wait for their last shipment. Okay, and this is where they will bring the slaves to brand them. They have what we call a branding iron that they mark on their bodies or on their arms, just to make a recommend, right?
Yeah.
And from the slave yard here, you will have what we call the old landing place. That's just after that small stuff you see in the water. That used to be the old landing place where the boats will stop, and from the slave yard they will pick all the slaves and put them in the boats. From there they will take them to America. Okay, so these round stones that you are seeing here, these are the stones that they used to make fire in the olden days for the branding, because they brand the arms of the slaves in the olden days. And that branding is called the ATI. Right? And from here you will see the councillor's room and the governor's room. And you can even see the councillor's room and the governor's room is more bigger than where they keep the slaves as well. So that's the councillor's room and the governor's room. And you can see this building is very old now, but it used to be 2 floors, and the up floors is having holes. Those holes were protect of guns, right? And this other room here is called the dining room for the councillor and the governor.
Wow, this room.
Yeah.
See how big it is.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right, so from here we can see the other side. Right, that's the third bastion. Right, and like I said, the island used to be 6 times bigger than this. Almost.
Wow.
You can see most of the ruins here, they were all slave
Sure.
prison.
It's breaking down.
Exactly. It's all gone down. So this is why you cannot see much here today. And the tower you are seeing
And
there,
what's that
this
tower
tower is not the original one. The original one used to be a wooden one. Okay? And this where used to have a red light to give the control of the slave boats coming into the island. And the final abandon of the island was in 1829. That was the time they asked the remaining slaves to swim from the island to the mainland. And like I said, none of them can do it, and they all died. So once again, I thank you very much for your attention. That's the history of James Island. If you have any questions, you are welcome to ask. Okay?
Yeah.